like to welcome everyone to our regular business meeting for the month of February. Just now getting started. We're waiting on Public Works Director and Fire Chief, but I think they're on the way. We'll go ahead and get started. Hope everyone made it through the cold spell okay. Hopefully that's the last one.
How you doing?
It's gonna snow next Thursday.
Well, I can do snow, just not zero. Everyone had an opportunity to look over the agenda.
Motion to adopt, Mr. Mayor.
Now second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. No one signed up for public comment.
There he is. Right on the button mark.
All right, everyone had an opportunity to look over the minutes from the January 2nd meeting. Any questions or comments on those?
I make a motion to adopt them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that leads us to Ms. Sharon Gillespie with her audit presentation. Welcome, Sharon.
Well, as you can see, I've learned to use PowerPoint, but I don't know how to do it on the computer yet, so by next year maybe. But they say a picture is worth 1,000 words, so maybe I can condense my audit presentation a little bit by these pictures. But I do thank you guys for having us again for your auditors. We always enjoy the relationship, and we've seen the town going through a lot of change and a lot of different things over the years since we've been auditing, and it's all ended up very positively from an audit perspective, so we appreciate your confidence in us. If you will flip to this first page of your audit summary, I just decided with another client that this was easier than going through 100 pages and flipping back and forth, so I created this little PowerPoint, but I wanted to make sure that we thanked Leslie for all her work and the finance staff cooperation in completing the audit. We certainly couldn't do without them. We did issue a clean opinion on all the opinions. We issued 3 opinions for your audit. That is your general audit, your federal funding, and your state funding, and all of those were clean opinions. We had no findings, no material weaknesses, and no non-compliance findings. So those are the buzzwords that local government commission looks for when we send in the audit. They want to see if we've noted any non-compliance, we've noted any material weakness, and we did not. So it was an unmodified opinion report. I always like to stack up how one year looks against the other, so that's why I did a couple of these graphs. As you can see on this 3rd page back, the general fund revenues, everything looks very consistent. Everything's just neck and neck except for the other column here. And the other revenues, they went up because of investment earnings. Your investments, the percentage of earnings was higher. So everything that is lumped into other, and that is, let me see, that's your miscellaneous small items and some of the other licenses and fees that are not here broken down. But you can see that went up about $60,000, and $40,000 of that was just for the investment earnings. So it was a wise decision to move your funding the way you did to earn more money. If you'll flip one more page, you can see what makes up these revenues, and the biggest piece of your pie chart here. Most people just think that ad valorem tax is all that matters to a town in accounting. But you can see, of course, your biggest revenue comes from your grants and restrictions on some of your inflows. And those grants include sales tax, that's considered a grant, fire department revenue, Powell bill, basically anything that comes from the North Carolina Department of Revenue is in this green section. So, and there again, all those were very consistent. Flipping one more page, we have the general fund expenditures. And you can see public safety, of course, we expect take the most money in the budget to run because of the different functions and services it provides. But you can see here again, everything is very consistent. The only thing that varied a lot on this graph is Public Works, and that went from $532,000 in 2023 to just $206,000. And that was because you had a large paving project in 2023 that didn't recur in 2024. So that's why it looks like you spent so much less money in '24. And keeping in mind, a lot of these will vary because of that capital outlay, because one year you have a project and one year you don't. So if you see variances in the expenses, the way governmental accounting works, it will be part of your expenses. So flipping one more page, public safety is there again, the biggest area that we have here. There was a small variance in the general government expenses between one year and another, and that was finishing up work on the elevator. So just a few things, everything stayed very consistent with this audit, except for just a few things, the interest income, the paving project, and the elevator. Everything else was very, very standard. The next page is your general fund summary, and that tells you how much you have for the past 3 years in fund balance that is available for you to decide how to spend. The darker column is the total fund balance, and again, we're only talking about general fund. We don't have anything with water and sewer on these financial statements. But you can see that your general fund balance that is available has grown over the past 3 years, as has your total fund balance. So three good years as far as management financially. And flipping back to this next page, this is where we start to look at the water and sewer fund. The water and sewer fund is to be operated as a business entity. So you do want it to, actually you want it to make a profit so you can put back money for future projects when things start to break down. But also just as a general rule, you want it to at least break even. So you can see here, we have some pretty big jumps in the water and sewer fund. We have the cash went from 2023 at 1.3 million up to 2024, 3.6 million. We've got jumps in the unrestricted net position, the operating income, the change in net position. The only thing that is pretty consistent here at the bottom, total revenues, and that's just total revenues from your water and sewer department. So what is happening here is the water department gets all these different grant funds, and they are restricted as to use. So if your cash is sitting there higher at one point, it's just because you didn't spend some of that grant money at that point. It's not that you have this huge surplus. Turning one more page, I was just absolutely amazed when I came to do the audit this past time, because I thought you had a lot of projects going on in 2023, but when I opened 2024, I said, I don't know how they are doing this, because if you count these bullets here, there are 8 different projects that are going on. One of those is in the general fund, but all the rest are in the water and sewer fund. So if you think of this, your finance office has to keep regular books, just like they do every day for the general fund and the water and sewer fund. And then they have these 8 mini sets of books, mini funds, that require their own total accounting. So it added a whole lot of work. It adds a whole lot of work when you have to administer these grants. But of course, it's worth it because you're improving your town. But it is very, a lot of work.
And that work's fixing to double.
And wait
Yeah.
for 2025.
No.
That's what I figured. Okay, and this last page that I have done a printout for is just your tax collection rates. And you can see your property valuations were very close between 23 and 24 as far as the overall valuation. And your collection rate actually improved between 23 and 24. It went from 98.6, which is an excellent rate, to 99.32. So I understand that this year may be a little bit different with everything that's happened, but you have been maintaining a really good collection rate. So that is the 85 pages in a nutshell. I didn't mention the one reason for the big variances in that water fund when I said the numbers were all over the place. one thing is those extra grants that come in, and they vary from year to year. But the other thing is these studies on the other post-employment health benefits and the retirement benefits. Because we have to put journal entries into that water and sewer fund to reflect what these studies are telling us you might owe in the future. And it's honestly, it's like they're throwing a dart sometimes. We'll adjust it upward 300,000, then we have to adjust it downward 300,000. So it's not real money that's going in and out, it's just projections for how much you might owe. And the actuaries have different variables every year that they put in that and try to come up with something accurate. So that causes a lot of variation in the numbers for your water fund.
Yeah, we have a pretty big liability at this point, don't we?
Yeah,
On it.
yeah, for both.
Yeah. But we are on the pay-as-you-go, and right now it's not a terrible amount for the retirees we have.
Right.
We're doing okay. But
Yeah, the theory with these studies is if everybody walked out at point X, what would you owe? So that's what they work on every year. So does anyone have any questions on this?
I love this. That's good.
Well,
Yeah.
I decided two things. It would summarize and it would take the focus off of me. Have something to look at.
That's great.
As always, Sharon, thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you.
You've always done a fantastic job.
If you have any questions, if you look.
Just don't retire before 2026, because we're definitely gonna have to have you
No.
next year. Thank you very much. You're more than welcome to leave if you, no, you gotta get back, so.
Tim cooked supper, didn't
He actually did. He forgot I was coming here.
he? Tell him I'm proud of him.
Yes, me too.
Thank you, Sharon. All right, moving on. Item number 6, the manager's update. Turn it over to Ms. Hockaday.
Okay, our CDBGI West Interceptor project continues to move along. Work crews are continuing to rehab manholes. They'll do some limited pipe bursting in some places and additional lining of lateral lines. Anything I'm forgetting, Shane? Else that they're doing?
They'll be putting that line in behind McDonald's.
Yes, they'll be putting in a new line, a large line behind McDonald's. We've had several change orders, but we were very much under budget, and with CDBGI, anything you don't spend, there's a penalty, so we're trying to get that down as low as we can. I think we still have some admin money that can pay that penalty off, but so we're getting close, and we expect the project in total to be finished late spring. The water treatment plant, I think we're waiting for better weather to pour the concrete on the EQ basin. They're just not wanting to get started and then have a cold patch, but that project is moving along. I believe most of the piping modifications, have they been
Well,
done?
most of that has been done to the plant. I mean, there's some, of course, after the equalization,
Yeah, they'll have to
it's done, will need to be done. But
pipe it in.
I think that's the biggest thing that's left over.
The Pine Swamp wastewater treatment plant, which is the project we're partnering with Yancey County through some of their ARPA earmark funding. That project bid, we only had one contractor show up for that bid. It will rebid on the 11th at 2 p.m. We only expect one contractor to show up, so I would imagine he went home with his bid and added a few dollars to it. So we'll see where that comes out. The Main Street water line, which includes some side streets on the east side and some work also on the west side, including the Shepherd Way pump station replacement. That bid, it was a little bit above what we expected, but we put in a request to DEQ. So Helene disrupted some of the projects that we had up on the river, and we think they're gonna allow us to move some funding around. I had a good conversation with Shotty Eastcoff, who's the Division of Water Infrastructure Director last week in Asheville, and he expected that we would be able to move some funding to cover that shortfall on that. And we're hopeful maybe even increase a little bit of that project area, but they're looking at that, and we should know something, I hope, by next month. Moving on to FEMA. We are still working on our damage inventory. Everyone in the region that had Helene damage received an additional 30-day extension to get their damage inventory in. We do not expect to use that full amount of time. We're getting closer to having all our damages assessed and cost estimates from engineers. We were able to get pretty much everything other than the redundant raw water line, some assessment done on that. We did have site inspectors, which Russell will speak to later because he was with them in Shane. Baker's Creek, we've got an engineering proposal from McGill for cost up to $49,000. We can exempt and don't have to go through formal procurement for anything under $50,000. We don't expect to get anywhere close to that. This is mainly, you know, assessing where damages are in electrical and equipment out there. They think the pumps were fine, they're submersible pumps, but the entire pump station was underwater, so they want the electrical to be replaced, and then the generator would need to be replaced. So they're gonna do a proposed, basically an assessment to give to FEMA. FEMA's already done their site inspection on that, but we need to I guess approve that contract with McGill to do that work. And that should be FEMA reimbursable.
Have a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
And you authorize Russell to sign the contract. I think it's set up in his name, correct, Chad?
Yes.
Okay. The renovation project on North Main, that did bid. It bid higher than what we expected. I think I sent you guys out that documentation. And Leslie and I are gonna team up on this one. We have a recommendation from the project designer and architect. You know, we do have a shortfall. We have already reached out to our representatives in Raleigh to ask for some additional funding. They're going to be looking into, I think they're hopeful maybe that they can find some quicker than going through the budget process. But we have until, that's the project we've received already, $1.8 million on it, and we have until June 3rd of 2026 to spend that money. So the project looks like it'll take about 10 months to finish. We will have some type of funding in place to make up that shortfall, either through the grant or Leslie and I have gone back through, as you saw, the fund balance is healthy, and we also have some additional, is that counted in fund balance?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
We
all
had
in.
some additional ARPA money from several years back. We got the first tranche of that just came to the local governments. I think we have, after COVID, I think we have about 234,
I think.
yes, 234,000 left of that could be applied towards this project, should funding not be coming forth from Raleigh. But we feel pretty good about.
And we've spoken with the engineers, since the bid, both Heather and myself and Shane and Brian as well, to see if there's anywhere that we could cut. And there just doesn't seem to be anywhere that we can cut to, you know, to get to that point, so.
And I will say, $200,000 of this shortfall is for contingency, a 10% contingency. So it bid about 20% higher, which we can thank Helene for that as well.
Yep.
You know, but not out of the ordinary from what we're seeing. So, there may be some places to save some money, but the architect feels pretty confident about his, assessment of the work that has to be done. And, you know, feels pretty confident that it's always best to have some contingency built in, but that may be money that doesn't get spent, so. And so Leslie will wanna talk to you about, I'm gonna let her go ahead since we're on this page,
Okay.
talk about the project ordinance update. But first of all, I would need y'all to basically, award the project, and then we'll work on contracts with the, contractor, which I should mention was Harper Contracting. They do good work. They're working with the school systems right now, doing their renovations. So they're here in the area, highly qualified.
Okay, ready for
You
me?
need a
Is
motion.
Well, yeah, I need a motion. I need a motion to award it. Or y'all have any
Does
discussion or
anybody have any-
questions?
I just moved over there. Sorry.
Any questions on that, Randy, Denise? Any questions on
No,
that?
I read
I'm sure
the email.
everybody looked at it in the email.
And I made the motion.
Judy made the motion. All in favor? Motion carries.
Well, now, before I continue on, I'll let Leslie talk about that, the project ordinance, so y'all don't have to
Okay.
go back and forth.
Yeah, we won't skip around. Okay, I basically just updated the revenues. The state grant amount stayed the same at $1,000,008, and the local contribution, this is the difference right here, but as she said,
476.
yes, 476,130. 199,600 of that is contingency, so it may not have to all come. And then down here, I updated the expenses, the construction, the Harper quote was $1,996,000. This contingency is the 199,600, and I've reduced these contracted services to actually what they're looking like they're gonna be at this point, and with construction and admin with it, to 80,530. So all that was there has shifted up here. So, but that's where we are right now. And this could be fund balance, it could be we can get that funded, and you know, we do have this 230 from the ARPA.
And we made a request for 440,000 in funding.
We need a motion to approve that ordinance, don't we?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, quick update on our insurance claims. Had a conversation with the adjuster from the league today. I don't have anything in writing yet, so I'm not gonna be held exactly to these numbers. It's been a little bit all over the place. But they think, and this is subtracting out the $50,000 deductible, which should be eligible for FEMA reimbursement. 1.35 million in flood damage claims, so that would primarily be Baker's Creek Pump Station, and then the biggest part would be the blower room and the Beltcrest room at the wastewater treatment plant. And then we'll get another 14,700 on wind damage here at Town Hall, which will go to roof repair. I expect, he told me that I would have a letter either end of this week or first of next week, but Chad and I have been there before. We've been waiting for, we get letters, they already sent us an advance of $750,000 in a check. And I told Leslie, we're not depositing that till because they wouldn't tell us what it was for. And so when we initially talked to them, Chad and I talked to them after that, you know, they were saying, well, we think this damage is in a floodway that we're not gonna cover, and this damage is in a floodway that we're not gonna cover, so. Leaned on Brian as our floodplain administrator to pull up the FRIZ maps, and we were able to send them documentation that what they were saying was in a floodplain or a floodway and shouldn't be covered was not. So, I think that's what's led them to finally come to this to say, as I said, guys, we're not getting anywhere near $750,000 if you're, you know, excluding all this other stuff, but, I think we're probably safe to go ahead and deposit that money, which will be the first cash flow from any source we have gotten since the storm. So, that will be good. Last thing I have, of course, is the tax report, which you guys have that. We continue to you know, in talking to Jackie, I don't think we're that far off from where we were, this time last year, really, in our collections efforts.
Less than 1%.
Yeah, well, yeah, less than 1%, and there is, you know, not any that are huge to substantial, it's kind of the usual characters. So, I've got one item that we got a letter from the county, the Vest property was reevaluated, there was a technical mistake made. I think they had it listed as .20 of an acre, and it was actually .02 of an acre. So they dropped their tax value down, which, of course, then created an entitlement to a refund, and I just need y'all to approve that. I believe Jackie has, she gave me the amount. It went from 94,000 down to $5,000 in value. So we are refunding most, they'd already paid, we're refunding most of what they had paid on that particular parcel. It was, I think that's in Chad Yellow thing, I think.
I have a motion to approve the change in taxable value
I'll
on the
make
Vest
that.
property.
And to refund yeah, we need one to refund, make the refund, I guess.
Both.
Okay.
No second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last thing I have is the resolution to advertise delinquent taxes. We usually do that at our February meeting, and everybody will show up in the paper in March.
I have a motion to approve the advertisement of the delinquent taxes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Miss Heather. That's all you got, that's all you
That's
have.
all
isn't
I've
it?
got.
All right, we'll move on to Mr. Fox's update.
Thank you. My first item is the vacancy on the ABC board that, as of January 31st, with Jamie McMahon's, we need to nominate somebody from the applications, and we've received several of them, to fill the remainder of his seat, which has quite a few years left on it.
Yeah, we actually had 7 applicants, I believe, wasn't
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
all good applicants, it appears. Do we have a motion to fill that?
I make a motion, to fill that with Harrison Tyner.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next, just a quick update on the Board of Adjustments. All the new members got sworn in, and Heather and I were there for the first meeting to kind of kick off the board on the 27th of January. The new chair is Sydney Laws, and they set a regular schedule of quarterly meetings on the second Thursday, starting in April, which will be April 10th, time 4:45. So all that's in place and ready to move forward. My next item is the annual events that kind of come up this time of year. It's stuff that happens every year that the town has always sponsored, various stage usage and road closures. The list was in the packet. It's a little shorter this year because of First Friday markets have canceled. So there's only 6 events on that list right now. Several of Pat has more than one of them. Just need a motion if you all want to continue sponsoring those in that way.
Have a motion,
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. So, First Friday went totally away?
Yep, she quit.
Oh, man. That was a good event.
Yeah, she did a good job with it.
Loaded the restaurants up.
All right, the last thing I have is a couple new requests for road closures. The Sheriff's Department and Camp Funshine want to do a road closure on Thursday, June 19th. And you may want to do these together or separate. The other is the Mary Main Street.
Camp Sunshine where the little guys ride their bikes around, or is that a different thing?
No.
Well,
What is Camp
It's the
Sunshine?
handicap
That's
camp.
Lucy Wilson.
Usually have it.
at Patience
We
Park.
was at
I
their
got
Patience
you. Okay.
Park.
I knew the name, but I could not place exactly what it was. And I thought,
It's a good thing, for sure.
it is, it is.
Is that's the same week they go up there, of course, they ain't got the park.
They can't go.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
that's the reason they're doing it.
Events in different places, I
Gotcha.
think.
This is their closing ceremony.
So they gotta move it every day.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
doing
that's gonna be
something
good.
No, I
different.
think they're having it, isn't like Kansas or First Baptist or something, they're sponsoring.
They're
it.
not
So
canceling, they're just having,
They're moving it right here, so, and
Okay.
then that's gonna be the bike night.
Okay.
If those people come, they're having it right in
So
town.
that ties your bicycle or motorcycle thing to it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
It's on a Thursday.
yeah. I'll make that motion.
So we're gonna just approve both of those.
Yeah, both of them.
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion carries, Chad. Thank you.
That's all I have. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move on to our Public Works Director, Mr. Shane Dale.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It has most definitely been an interesting month so far. When all nice lovely cold weather and water leaks that we've had. I guess you all noticed the, water conservation notice that we put out. As of right now, we're doing very well as far as tank levels. I think our biggest concern overall was cold weather presented a lot of grief to, not necessarily to our temporary electric pumps, but just intake in general, because there's so much ice in the river. It was dropping our water levels, causing us to lose raw water. When we would do that, we would be down for a period of time, which, if you're down, you can't necessarily make any water if you're not bringing anything in. So that resulted in our tanks getting a little low, or a lot low, actually. But we've got all that kind of situated. Tank levels are steadily increasing, and we're in pretty decent shape at this point in time. I think for the most part, that's got about everything covered. And our little trips with FEMA to the intakes was kinda interesting also. We had a little trip up there to show everybody what was left of the Bowens Creek intakes, which is not a whole lot at this point in time.
Did you get them up
We did get them up there.
We can
They-
actually.
they've never been anywhere like
we
that.
can-
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah,
no.
yeah.
They
Yeah,
had-
so I'll butt into your report just for a moment and then I'll let you pick up, but just give everybody a little bit of an update. I mean, right here's a video that we have. This is your Public Works Director going above and beyond.
With their tennis
with-
shoes on.
With,
Yeah.
yeah, so we had
It
6
was better than the
individuals.
cowboy boots.
Yeah, so-
All 6 of them had tennis shoes on for the most part, but,
Her clipboard.
Oh, okay.
it was,
You were carrying her clipboard.
One had cowboy boots
Ah,
on.
look at this.
He's such a gentleman, isn't he?
and for the public, just so you know, if you fall backwards right there, it's about a 50-foot vertical drop into the creek, so it is very dangerous, but, it's took a lot of work just to get them here. Brian actually went about 3 weeks ago and walked into the South Fork, which is about a mile walk in, just to take pictures. And it's very treacherous. After Brian done that, we hired an excavator to go in there. An excavator spent a week just to get the road passable enough for a 4-wheeler. And, then of course Shane and I were able to take all 6 individuals from FEMA up there yesterday, but it was, at least we had good weather, because if this would've been last week, it wouldn't.
It
Because
was
when
worse.
Shane and I were up there last week
The week
with the
before.
engineers, the week before, and, there was
Solid
this much ice everywhere. It's solid ice everywhere you went. I mean, you couldn't stand up, so, not in the creek, I'm talking in the roadways and everywhere, so. It's very catastrophic up there, and we're very hopeful that, that FEMA sees fit to give us the funding to rebuild these intakes back, because they're very critical.
Yeah.
And this is our one and only opportunity to get get them built back, so. Again, we took them yesterday, they done their reports, they're gonna send those reports to their superiors, and hopefully we'll hear something back next week on whether or not we're gonna move forward. So, sorry to butt in, Shane, I just
No, you're
wanted.
good, you're good.
Question,
Everybody needs a video.
question here.
Nah,
How did you get her out?
very carefully. We just come right down through there and we got her back on the six-wheeler and off we went.
Oh, that was coming out.
That was
going-
coming back down.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was
They
from
had to
that.
get back, they had to get up there. so
Yeah.
then we,
It was interesting, I mean,
She's still telling them tales.
she may be, but there's two more that's probably gonna be telling some tales too.
Well, Shane and Heather have both for the last 2 or 3 weeks have been emailing them saying, guys, just please know that this is very remote and very treacherous, you know, dress accordingly, and, we were surprised
Or
yesterday
shoes with traction, not cowboy boots.
when they got here, but we all made it up there and were successful, so it was an interesting day.
It was.
Thank you, Shane. You have anything else?
No, well, the electric pumps are running good. We've been running on them for about a month. Everything's running good. We've not had any issues other than the air and the ice and all that and the cold, the extreme cold weather. So, if you've got any concerns about the electric pumps, they're great. They ain't missed a beat so far.
And you found Glen Raven.
Well, we didn't necessarily find Glen Raven. We cut a piece of line out at Glen Raven. It just don't go from this point to this point now, so it's quit. It's stopped.
I looked the other day, it looked like it came out from on the building.
I don't even know that water's coming up now, so, I think we may have solved a few different issues down there by doing what we done. So, we've got that part situated.
And then West Main's busted.
Yeah, well, we had to fix down there behind, Bojangles in front of the motel, and then apparently when we cut it back on, it decided to let loose down there in front of French Bride, so that's next on the list.
How many of you have the guys fixed in the past?
I guarantee you, eight down there.
A lot.
They have, I would say we've fixed at least 8 to 10.
I counted that.
And we've still got, and I ain't gonna sit here and say that we're done by no means, because we've still got that one down there to fix. We've got another one out on, at King River. And I'm sure there's other things that we don't know about, but, you know, they're still popping up, and we'll get them, we'll
And
get them situated.
Those 8 to 10 are just what the Public Works crew has fixed. Those numbers are substantially higher from just right after the storm when we had contractors in here. Obviously,
Oh,
there
yeah,
was.
that's just over the cold weather
Yeah.
period, yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you,
That
Shane.
and this-
I don't know if we got anything else to put on TV, do we, Chad?
No, it's good.
We don't have anything else to put on TV.
If you only have the one and then turn it off,
Presentation.
local veteran English,
Yeah.
that'd be the one to do.
Yeah, I
Oh,
wish we
yeah.
had video of that.
I felt sorry for him, he was frozen.
I can imagine.
All right, thank you, Shane. We'll move on to Miss Leslie with her.
That's a hard act to follow.
There you go, video.
I know. I mean, I just now got a PowerPoint after I think probably 12 years of doing this with her. I mean, in 22 years, I've never had a PowerPoint for this, but that was much better. I saw the budget versus actual. Yeah. Yeah, lots of overtime. I mean, this budget is just all the heck. It just is. I went to this meeting as the Capital Management Trust where we've made all of our interest money today in Asheville. It's basically like a regional finance officers meeting, pretty much is what it is. And I wanted to go just so I could hear what everybody else had to say. And I told Heather by the time I got to Black Mountain at the end of the other table, I was just like, I think I just want to cry again. Because it's just so many of them are just like us. I mean, it's just so bad. That
Yeah.
probably us and Black Mountain was the worst that were there at the time. But lots of famous stories. And they were saying that, they were talking about the feds reducing the rate because they are financial and that, you know, they do financial analysis. And they said they did not think the feds would lower the rates anytime soon. And that was good for us, cause it keeps the air rate high on the earnings part. I did have to take out 500,000 on the water side out of the capital management to be able to cover some payouts for the CDBGI program, cause we're spread pretty thin on our cash flow. But hopefully we can get some of these FEMA projects, you know, going. But overall, people are just, they were talking about COLAs, they're talking about taxes, just all kinds of stuff, but everybody's just about the same shape we're in. And let's see, did anybody have any questions on this?
That's good.
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
No, I mean, the one look, this is like the bullet thing.
Yeah.
You can look at that one thing and know where you're at.
Other than that, yes, I want to close the OPEB small account that I have at UCB. I pulled 100,000 out when we done the capital management trust, and from both sides, from general and water, we got 200,000 OPEB saved right now, and whatever interest it's made. But I had left a little bit in this UCB account to not close it, just to see how it was, and the service charges are just eating us up, so it'd just be better. They're charged like $13 a month. I mean,
Lord have mercy.
yeah, paying us 6 cents interest and charging us $13. So yeah, I'd just rather close that and just shift whatever else to down there.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
And when we do actually start getting some FEMA money, I told Heather I'm probably gonna do a budget amendment and have a 40 fund and try to run that out of the general chicken, because all this juggling. I mean, I used to think when we had 2 to 3 projects, it was a lot, and that's the most we had till all these, and now it's got like
Another big lot more.
8, 9, whatever. I got like 14 books, so I don't need not one more book. So, but that's my plan. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Miss Leslie.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll move on to Chief Hal. Niles, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you up front, Brian's got you beat.
Yeah.
It's just it's a much bigger.
It's only because his is bigger.
Got a bigger heart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just, on the report side, you have our report for the month there, and I will join with Shane here and say this has been an unusual month. We have had 54 calls this month, and I don't ever remember us having that many. We'll average about 34, and if you look at the report, you'll see about 44% of those were fire alarms or structure fires. And so, if you saw the article that was in the paper, I think it was last week, about structure fires, it joins right in with that. It seems to be a trend, so it's just something to watch out for, I think, for us to pay attention. I'm thankful it's really less that small an amount, as many small portable heaters and things that are out there being run in the community right now. I think we are very fortunate to just be at that level. On the operations side of it, be glad to report to you that our truck's finally repaired. I got the call today. We're able to go pick it up. Our engine has been in the shop for a month or so, and so we'll get it back in service, and we'll have all the other trucks serviced Tuesday. They're coming over to service all of them for their annual service and inspection. And also, we did get a donation of a 40-foot shipping container to put some of those fire department supplies that came in, those donations that came in, are sitting all over the place over there. So hopefully I'll get those in that container and kind of clean up around the building a little bit in the next little bit. Try to get some of that stuff out of the weather. And that's about where we are. Still have good numbers showing up. I've got 4 more applicants. That makes a total of 9 since the storm. So that's encouraging that people are stepping up.
Hospitals.
Hospital is still in operation. They're planning on running it on Saturdays, for as long as they can. They're looking at trying to find another location, to house it, just to give it a little bit more permanency. So they're looking to move it at some point in time, but right now it's still in the museum over there, and people are still coming, getting stuff out of it. EMS is also restocking out of some of it, which is helping them as well, so it's still serving.
Thank you, Mr. Hale.
Yes, sir.
Move on to Chief Buchanan for the police report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You've got a copy of Mayor activity logs as well, with large clip art, you may notice that. The one update police-wise, Sergeant Chandler has applied for a grant from the Community Foundation, which has some monies for, things after the storm, and received that grant to be used toward a utility vehicle. So we were able to purchase a brand-new, utility vehicle for use with bad weather or some of these storm events. We picked that up this past week. So that wound up being completely free to the town, with regards to the amount we received, paid for that. So we'll have that available for crash fairs and events along with bad weather and those kinds of things. Police-wise, that's really, other than that, it's been pretty normal operation. Zoning, code enforcement, floodplain administration, I've had some more applications come in. These are more than normal applications, not necessarily storm damage. We've had, people have started to doing some remodels and those types of things, and these are more than normal things. But other than that, that's pretty much what we've had.
Thank you, Brian. All right, Mr. Corbin, I didn't forget about you.
Thank you. For January, we had 21 events. This month, February, we have 24, and for March, we have 23, which is, for the slow months, doing pretty good. We have 2 concerts coming up. One is called Hope After Helene. Is going to be a free show on February 16th at 4 p.m. Don't have a whole lot of information on it. It's going to be a duo, Adam and Amy, I believe are their names. They're from Tennessee. They play out in Nashville quite a bit. They just decided to put on a free show for the community itself. And then the other one is Dylan Wilson's The Hillbilly Ball. That is on February 22nd at 7 p.m. And if you plan on attending, I recommend getting tickets soon. And we have a kitchen and cleaning giveaway. A group out of, I believe it's Virginia, is coming up to donate kitchen and cleaning supplies. Other than that, that's all I really have. We're staying quite busy.
Thank you, Corbin.
Thank you.
All right, council members' reports. Anyone have anything they'd like to report on?
Just kind of for the rest of the board, Brian and I had a conversation down there. As Rick and I were coming up tonight, lady in the crosswalk at home place, green Volkswagen, never cracks the door. So I've asked him to kind of stake out the crosswalks, because as we warm up, we know what's gonna happen before we get somebody killed. And the lady, you know, just kind of froze and just kind of stared at the car, but it ain't checked up yet.
Don't come and sit up here and look out this window.
Oh, well, maybe they do with Henry Miller, and Brian sits up here with the radio and calls it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
That's at least once a week.
At
the
least.
amount of walking traffic and the amount of vehicle traffic has quadrupled in the last couple of years, and we all realize that. I don't know what the fix is, but it'll make you sick to look out this window at any point during the day. Anyone else have anything they want to speak on? I would just like to say, I know I say this every month, and, every meeting I'm in, I'd just like to reach out or say thanks to all the town employees. A lot of people put the emphasis on these public works guys, and they have done a phenomenal job, and they're the ones that's out in the cold, and they've done a phenomenal job for us. But this storm has put a workload on these other individuals that's unbelievable. Probably 4 times the amount of their regular work, and they still have a town to run, so I just wanna thank them for what they, and it's all the way through. I mean, you got Brian walking into the watershed, and you see the call volume that Niles has had, and Corbin's, I mean, I can tell you, cause I get phone calls every day on the town center. That's not my job, but I get them. And what's happened with the town center since the storm has been astronomical, the amount of people that are wanting to come and set up to donate and cook, and it's amazing. Chad and Leslie and Heather, again, it's just you can see Heather's had to move her office. Her office looks worse than that one does. I mean, it's just, the amount of paperwork is unbelievable with this, but I just wanna personally thank you guys for all that you've done and will continue to do.
And I agree.
All right, we don't have anybody from the chamber.
Mine is out this.
Bill, do you have anything to report on from High Country?
Excuse me, High Country doesn't meet on January.
Too cold up there to meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we got a closed session. Take a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 A6 to discuss town personnel. Do I have a motion to enter into closed session?
I make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sure it is.